Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is the Sabeen Foundation. You all would know us as DSF even on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sameen Rahat, and I have here with me.
Sayyid Sohaib. And today we have a very special episode for you, for lined up for you guys, and we are hoping to bring, a special talent for you that we've announced on our Facebook page, which will be Khaya Ahmed. But before bringing Khaya to the stage, TSF would basically like to show that instead of just bringing out established talents, we also want to promote young talents. And in that view, for today's episode, we will be bringing a young talent by the name of Ayeza Draws to our channel, and we will be interviewing her and also showing you guys a little bit of her work to promote her and promote young talent. And because the TSF is basically formed for the love of geek culture, for the love of artistry, for the love of art, music, comics, films, movies, everything. And we just want to promote anything as much as possible. What about you, Sumi?
I'm really looking forward to seeing Isa and her work, and we hope you all are excited too. So let's get right to it. All right, everyone, we have with us Isa Tenveer. So, Isa, Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
Walaikum assalam.
Assalamu
Walaikum
alaikum.
assalam. I'm doing great. How are you, Sameen and Shoaib?
We're doing good. On behalf of the Sabeen Foundation, we welcome you to our Spotlight Hour, our Spotlight
Thank
section.
you so much for thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, a little introduction to Aiza. I had the honor of, interacting with her for a project, for actually a fan fiction novel that I was writing for my then fiance, but now wife. And I asked her to draw, her face in the character design that I had, and also mine. By chance, we are the characters in the novel. Big surprise there, but she was really amazing. I mean, her art is amazing. She was really cooperative. She was downright professional, and that is why when we started this segment, I really wanted to bring her in, just introduce her to the world, and give her a young artist as much exposure as possible. So Isa, take it away. Let us know what are you working on these days. If you can share with us anything.
Okay, so I am working on quite a few things these days. So ever since lockdown started, I picked up a new hobby as well. At first, I just used to digitally illustrate, but I started working with watercolors as well. But for I think more what you guys are more interested in is the illustration part that I do. So what I do is now what I've been doing for these past few couple of like more than a couple of months, I've been preparing for a project, and I am planning on making a comic book. This is a story that I have been working, like I have the story ready. I have every like I'm just working on the character designs and everything these days, but I have been writing this story for for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years. It's been in
Wow.
different forms and everything, but I've always had like a document on my laptop, or in my in the notes in my phone. I have been working on this for a long, long time, and I always knew that I wanted to tell this story, but at first I didn't know what medium I wanted to tell it in. But for over like for these past 5 years or so, I have developed a huge appreciation for comics, and I've developed a love for them as well. So, and after I did this short course with Amir Zahir Ali in at Indus Valley, and it was basically a digital illustration course. And I took it to push myself out of my comfort zone. And at the end, basically our final project was that we either had to make a children's storybook or we had to make a comic book. So children's storybook, not quite my forte, like not up my alley either. So I decided to make a comic book, and it was hard. It was just 10 pages, but it was a lot of work. It definitely made me appreciate how hard it is, and the amount of work that goes into it. But that was the point when I knew that I wanted to tell this story in the form of a comic book. So this was, I think, a year and a half maybe ago, and since then I have been working towards that, and I'm really excited that I can share it one day with the world and with Pakistan as well. So, but let's see how it goes because I did not know that it would be this hard. But it's a labor of love.
It always is. So, uh, can we ask if you can tell us anything about it? Like any sneak peeks, any info?
Sneak peeks. Well, it's still in the works, but it's set in the future and it's going to be following the lives of these 7 characters who are basically the descendants of a long lost race or something like that. I'm still working on it, but it's basically going to be following their stories. All of them are going to have very different stories. One of them is going to grow up as a soldier who, like someone who is completely and blindly following orders and everything, and then another one is going to grow up as an assassin, and then one of them will have a very normal life and everything, and it's just going to be show how they all get together, and the people who are hunting them, obviously they're very ruthless and everything. So let's see how it goes. That's all I can say for now. So let's see.
No, we're
And we
looking
wish
forward
you
to it
the best
already.
of luck. Yeah, and we wish you the best of luck. And we really hope that
Thank you
once
so
you publish
much.
it, you will come as a guest on TSF as well for a full
Exactly.
detailed interview.
Yes.
Inshallah, one day.
Inshallah, definitely. And yes, good luck with the project. So
Thank you
let's see.
so much.
We're looking forward to it already. It sounds very interesting.
Yeah, and thank you so
Alhamdulillah.
much for taking time out for today. And
Mhm.
inshallah, we'll see you around. We'll hope to see your work soon on the works, and we'll hope that you just keep flourishing for Pakistan and for all
Thank you
geek
so
or all
much.
geekdom.
Thank you so much for
Exactly.
having me. It's really great to meet like-minded people because the community here it's very small,
Hmm.
but I feel like it's a very hard. It's like you feel it's a very heartfelt community. Like people, they're very close to each other, and since it's very small, you need to be close to each other. I mean, otherwise we die out, I guess. But yes, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now moving on to our main special feature event, we have with us Khaya Ahmed. Khaya, as many of you would already know, is an established name in our local industry, in our community. She has worked as the writer for the likes of Miss Marvel and Burka Avenger, and as well as the webtoon Evadia, made by her company Optera Digital. And Sohaib, please tell us, like, what's the special occasion that we have Khaya with us here today?
The special occasion is the release of a new video game that she has worked on with Lucid Games Limited, which is Destruction All Stars. Not that we need a special occasion to invite Kaya over because she's just, a gem of a person, and
She's a
having the
very
honor
good
of
friend.
knowing her personally. Yes, exactly. And having the honor of knowing her for so many years is it's amazing in the work she does. But for now, we are inviting her over because recently, for a PS5 original, her game dropped, and it is having a very good reviews all over the internet. And especially Khaya told us that there is a Pathan in there as well. So it's for you guys to find out which one. But overall, describing the game, it's more of a road rage type, and it's good, it's fun, and it's really, a must check out for all the gaming lovers. And I hope we will discuss this more in detail when Khaya comes in. So I think, Samin, do the honors.
And just like that, we welcome to our virtual stage Khaya Ahmed. All right, everyone. So here's our special guest for today. We have Khaya Ahmed here with us. So, Assalamu alaikum, Khaya. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, I could be doing better. I have not slept, as you guys can tell. But I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm very excited to be here. I've always been such a huge fan of everything that you guys are doing. And, I am just really, really happy to be a part of this.
That's
That
wonderful
means the
to
world
hear.
to us. That really means the world to us. And your support and the people support of everyone, it's going to help us, grow to be to bring all the geeks together. First of all, I think the first question that I really want to ask, and when people come towards celebrity interviews, and you are a celebrity, so they think about fame, they think about all the success that you have achieved, and you got here, and sadly in Pakistan there is a sort of a mentality that she had some luck, she got through, and all that, and she or he, whatever the case may be. But we really want to know from the start that how was your journey to get into this, like the challenges that you had to face, the the hardship that you had to face to get here, get to this moment that you are here right now, the starting phase of Khaya, the Khaya behind the Khaya,
Well,
basically.
I honestly, I don't think I would consider myself a celebrity yet, because, um, I have achieved a lot, mashallah. I am very proud of that, of the stuff that I've achieved. But the thing is that, being a writer, and it's something that people do overlook here. Writers aren't really considered they don't get the same appreciation as like the actors would get, or even the directors would get. The writers are kind of just like side pay. So that's something that I'm actually very happy about. I don't have I don't necessarily have to know. Oh no, I'm walking to the street, someone's gonna figure out who I am. I'm so happy living anonymously behind the scenes as like a semi introvert. I like working behind the shadows. So I'm like Raz Al Ghul. So I like that. I like just that anonymity that comes with it being a writer. As for the struggles and the challenges, yes, luck was a huge part of it. I'm not going to deny that, because I was very lucky that the right people found me at the right time, and they vouched for me. I think a lot of luck comes with that you meet the right people, the more supportive people at the right time when you need them to be there. Um, my journey started, I was in 8th grade, technically, if you want to go like very far back. I was in 8th grade and my dad was in an advertising agency. And I used to, he taught me how to, I was always a fan of drawing. I was always doing drawings as a kid and writing. And my dad taught me Photoshop at a very young age. So I wanted to, go get into graphic design and stuff like that. And do logos and stuff like that. So he took me to his office and sat me down with all these professionals, and I would start drawing logos and mock-ups for them. And that's where I actually discovered that maybe my writing has some power. It's not just fan fiction, because there were, slogans and stuff that I would come up with. And, for stuff like the PTCL smartphone, V phone back in the day. This is like very ancient time, when V phone was launching. I'm like, oh, yeah. We can have this there for the newspaper. We can have this idea and this will be our tagline. I'm like, oh, we're very good. I'm like, oh, thank you. You have like these 50-year-old men and like these 30-year-old women, and then you have Khaya from 8th grade. We're like, gee, let's do this, uncle aunties. So that was my start. My dad was very supportive. My mom was very supportive of my career from a very young age. Never saw me as the 8th grader working. They're like, oh, go earn money, Khaya, do it. So even though that job wasn't paying, it was just me tagging along with my dad. But then, of course, after that, when I was about 16, I believe, I got this opportunity to work at this company called Numericals, it was very funny. Again, it was because of my drawing. One of my very old family friends, her name is Naveen. She posted, and I still have it on my Facebook. She posted it on my Facebook wall and was like, okay, there's this job opportunity. Someone is asking for like some artists in Islamabad, some studios opening up. Why don't you send your work? Okay, sure. Writing, never even considered it. I just sent all my fan art. It was like fan art of like Bleach and Death Note and stuff like that. And I sent that to them. It was just like crude manga drawings. And I sent that to them. And I got a call from the CEO. His name is Numer Abbas. Numer called me and he's like, we would like you to come for an interview. I'm like, oh, what? What? It was very weird. I didn't think it was going to happen. So I went in. I was again very young, 16. My dad, not even 16, sorry, 15, because I didn't have my ID card. I went with my dad. My dad took me. So I was the first interviewer there who was coming with, her father. Basically, he's like, I'm not letting you go in the apartment alone. This is dingy. This is not happening. So my dad took me, and it turned out that Numer was the son of Gogi, a very, very famous cartooner. She's one of the pioneering ladies of animation. She had worked with my dad previously as well, so she recognized my dad because he helped launch her career, and he helped with her with her animations and stuff. Nice. So she recognized him, and it was just a very meeting of the fates. Basically, the parents work together, and now the kids are working together. And he basically he saw my work and he's like, okay, well, I want to hire you as an artist.
Mhm.
And I was very blunt with him. I said, I can't draw on command. Like, if you tell me right now to draw, I can't.
Mhm.
But I can write if you need a script writer.
Mhm.
And he said, okay, Abhi, baith ke just write a scene for me. And I wrote a scene for him. And he read it. And he said, oh, this is actually really good. We're doing a comedy, and your comedy, chops are on point. It's very South Park, and this is what we're going for. So, why don't you start? Oh, but that's it. He's like, yeah, that's it. So you start from next week. And do you have an ID card? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, do you have a bank account? I'm like, no. This is my father's bank account. This is my father's ID card. Please take this. That's it. That's how I started working. And again, it was just a magical start, because from that, I was the youngest on the team. And the people I was working with are people who have now accomplished so much. We have Asfar Jaffrey, who was our director at the time. He is now the director of Janan. He has directed Sher Dil. He has directed, tons of other movies. Jinke ab shaadiyon pe, their songs are playing now. I'm like, oh wait, I know this, this director, and I know the guy who did the music. It's Ahmed. He used to work with us in America. We have Fahim Azam, who was the co-writer with me. He's a huge star, very popular comedian now. We have Haris Hijaz, who was there, again, very, very well-known artist. Hamza Bajwa, again, amazing artist. And there was it was just like this superstar team of people who had gotten together. And I was the youngest. They babied me. But at the same time, they taught me so much in the industry. I learned how to properly write scripts. I learned how to properly do 3 arc structures. I didn't know this. I just knew writing for the sake of writing. I didn't know what structures were. I didn't have any formal education in this. They showed me resources. They guided me. We would have review sessions, and we were really. It made me realize that this could be a career, because I never considered it as a career before then. And then I just started taking odd jobs after numericals, spending 2.5 years there. After that, I started just putting my writing out there, doing, odds and ends. And then I started, documenting stuff on Tumblr. And that's where I met Matt Fraction, who was like, oh, hey, you write? I'm like, yes. And he's like, oh, your writing's pretty good. Can I use some of your writing for my comic? Like, which comic? Is like a Hawkeye comic that I'm doing. Like, oh, the Hawkeye comic that I read. So like, this 1 line or 2 lines that you've done, I really want to put them in the comic book. So do I have your permission? I'm like, sure. So we got to talking, and he said, there's this comic that's coming out. My wife, she's she's part of the initial team, and her friends are, they're working on this new superhero. She's a Pakistani, and you're a Pakistani, so I think you should definitely get in contact with them. I'll set up a meeting. I think you guys should connect, because I feel like you're the missing piece in this little puzzle. There are challenges. There's people not taking it seriously because of your age. Because I started off very young. I was always the youngest in the room. Be it with Burka Avenger, be it with Miss Marvel, be it with all these other companies that I worked with. I was mostly the youngest in the group. My team always took me seriously. The people I worked with always took me seriously. But whenever I would go to like places outside of the company to like maybe pitch an idea or to maybe have meetings and stuff, they wouldn't take me seriously. First it was like, oh, ye to ladki hai. Then I was like, oh, it's a choti bachchi. Not like choti bachchi. That thing, oh, choti bachchi. Isko, oh, little baby, you don't know much about the world right now. So they would always underestimate me because of my age, and that was something that it did stick around with me for a long time. Like even now, when I'm not the youngest in the team, I still have that thing that I shouldn't, speak up to authority. I should, I'm still a baby, but I'm not. I'm almost 29. So, it has still stuck with me. That is one of the challenges I have faced. And of course, just, the lack of having that education here or that training here to, refine my writing or make it better than it could have been. I feel like a lot of my journey would have been a lot more smoother had I those resources or those things to help me. But honestly speaking, the net just saved my life, and my mentors saved my life in terms of helping me grow and maturing me as a writer. But I feel like, yeah, definitely having like a program dedicated to writing or script writing would have definitely helped me out and would have helped me overcome a lot of internal challenges.
All right, so that brings us to our next question. Like, Khaya, where does your geek side shine the most? And what kind of influences do you think it has on your writing?
Oh, so there was this very good advice that was either Harun. It was Harun. Yeah, Harun gave to me
Hmm.
during Burka Avenger. It's like, hi, there are two types of like there's this, a writer has two parts to them. One is, the person who's living the life, and then one who's the writer who's outside watching that person live their life and documenting things out. Okay, this is what I'm going to use in my writing.
Hmm.
So there's not one medium that I don't consume. I love video games. I love novels, fiction novels. I love comic books. I love manga. I love TV shows, movies. My husband often jokes, he's like, my God, Khaya, you've like seen everything. You've read everything. You've played everything. Because that is what keeps me going. It keeps me motivated. I love taking things apart. I love watching it, taking it apart. When, oh, this is what they're trying to do here. Oh, this is what they're doing. Oh, okay. That's where this character is going. And just like predicting things, that's what I love doing. And that is what gives me, that is what influences me, especially, I'll name my core influences that have molded me as a writer. That is Lord of the Rings, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and my God, Batman, the animated series.
Yeah.
These three are very, very close to my heart because, just Batman as a TV series, as a kid show. I think I will name Mask of the Phantasm. I think that for me is just peak writing. I love the way they have framed so many shots in that, and whenever I need to think of atmosphere, I just think of that. I also love listening to music when I'm writing. Oftentimes I am plugged in, and there's always music at the back. It's ambient, but it's like music from games, very, very like games and Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings ambient music. So you have like the Rivendell theme playing at the back, like mixed in with like birds and stuff like that, like the wind flowing. That really, really is really conducive. And the Halo soundtrack. Halo is also a huge influence for me. It's one of my favorite video games. I think it's my top favorite video game of all time. Hands down, Halo 4, right there. It's by Dil Ka Tukra. So yeah, with Lord of the Rings, there was always just that rich lore building. I feel like when I look at lore building, and world building, that is just peak world building for me. I have always aimed, and that's what has influenced my writing the most in some ways, is that when I'm doing something, no matter how big or small that project is, I go deep. I deep dive into those projects. I create like pages upon pages of Bibles upon like what each character is, what their personality is, what they like or dislike. I give them each, I assign them a Myers-Briggs personality. I give them a Hogwarts house. I go very, very deep into them. And I go deep into the world, like, okay, what is the weather like there? Why is the weather like this? Because it's just little things that just really, really, really help me write. And it really, really pushes my writing to the next level. It makes the characters feel more alive. Because when I'm sitting there, I'm thinking of what dialogue they should speak. I'm like, okay, why would they say this? What is the weather right now that's influencing them? What is their mood right now? What is making them? What is their agency? I think that is something that's very, very important to me. And lore building just like helps a lot with that when you're writing. So yeah, definitely these are like my peak influences.
Thank you. And moving on to the next question, although just commenting on the Halo part, I think that would put you in a more competitive mood.
Yes, so I am a very bad shooter player. By the way, just FYI, my favorite game is Halo, but I'm a very bad shooter. Like, I've invented new ways to kill myself in Halo. I didn't even think those were possible, but yes, that has happened. Like, I didn't even know that. Oh, look, the bullet ricocheted and killed me. Wow, okay. But it's just the story itself.
That's new.
I love it. I'm so bad. Like, me and my husband play like online multiplayer, and he's always killing me. I'm just like, what is this, man? What is this? What is this? One of my favorite games.
All right, so on to the next question. Now that you're successful, all right, you say you're not a celebrity, for us you are, but still, what are the hardships and challenges that you face now?
That is a very good question. I feel like my challenges don't come from the outside now; they come from the inside. Because I am constantly trying to one up myself.
Mhm.
And it's bad. It then puts me in a very negative state of mind, because it's like, okay, Marvel happened. I'm like, oh well, I'm never gonna top that. Then Burka Avenger happened. I'm never gonna top that. Then Destruction All Stars happened, and I'm like, oh, now what do I do? Then I just like go into this shell of self hate where I'm like, hi, you're not good enough. You're not gonna get anything better than this. That's it. You've peaked. It's nowhere but down from here. And then I just go into this like very, very negative state of mind where I can't write, I can't think. I'm just like massively, massively depressed. And again, that's where my my therapy kicks in. I go to therapy and I sort that stuff out. But as someone who struggles with anxiety, someone who struggles with depression, it's very hard to deal with something that has gone well. Because see, when something goes badly, you're like, oh, I knew that was gonna happen. It's gone bad. Oh well. When it goes well, you're like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Now what do I do? Then you're just sitting there like, okay. So then, I'm always constantly doubting myself. I'm always thinking, Khaya, you're not good enough. Khaya, you have done this, but that's it. That's the most you can do. You can't do better than this. So I do paint myself into like this hole, and it's sometimes very hard to come out of that hole. But then that's the challenge. It's like just climbing out of that hole and going like, oh no, Khaya, come on. Not everything has to be that big. It just even small things can make an impact. So just training myself to think that way. I think that has been a huge, huge challenge for me. I I have made it a habit of not going on to like forums or Facebook threads and stuff like that, because as IPs grow, they become very, very toxic. So I tend to just not go online. There are times where I just disappear from Facebook, from Twitter, from Instagram. I don't go on them because I feel like I just need to self-evaluate and just stay away from all of this. Like when major announcements happen, I am nowhere to be found. Facebook, one Facebook post, congratulations, so happy, then I'm just gone. That's there. It's a pattern with me. And then oftentimes I get messages, so where are you? Why didn't you reply to our comment? I'm just like, depression, hashtag. So it's just so that is something that has been challenging. Like training myself to not go into the comment section, not listening to the hate, not listening to those toxic comments. That's been something, Of course, the personal attacks happen, but then more so than the personal attacks, it's the, it's when you create something and you put your heart into it and you see someone hating on it for no reason, just for the sake of hating it. It's just like, but you didn't even read it. You're just assuming this is the thing. And then that just hurts you even more. That's like something that is a challenge.
Bandwagons, basically.
Yeah, I think Asad
They
talked
don't
about that in one of our
experience.
panels. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, now we get to Miss Marvel, your first big breakthrough. So how exactly did it happen? Like, how was the experience overall?
Oh, the experience was amazing. I mean, I was on the other side of the world, of course. I wasn't with them, on site. I was just a disembodied voice most of the time. But it was interesting. Like it was my first long distance thing. It was, with people that I looked up to. Um, it feels like a lifetime ago because it was very, very long ago. And I was a very different person then, and I was still again maturing as a writer. Again, I had these amazing people to kind of ground me, and just I think one of the things I really loved was when we would sit down and have our creative sessions of where to take Kamala next. Those were like really, really fun sessions where we think, okay, these are some things that have happened to us, drawing from real life experiences, things that we want told as Muslims, as Pakistanis, because I was not the only Muslim Pakistani. There's Sana, of course, being the other one there. Then Willow herself is a Muslim. So, just bringing all these perspectives, the immigration, like the immigrant perspective, the local perspective, the self-hate that you carry as a Muslim Pakistani, and when you identify as a minority in a majority, in a majority white country. So how that feels, how you internalize that hatred that people shed on you. That was one of the most I think I learned a lot as a person through that experience, because it taught me that a lot of stuff that I was doing, I was projecting very negative emotions because I was feeling this way. And as you were like showing Kamala go through that journey, showing like I was mirroring that journey in a way as well. So it was very nice. You know, it was something I never, you know, I can't put it into words, honestly. Like, I can't talk much about it, but like I really can't put it into words, like stuff that I can talk about, because, you know, sitting there having that red pen in my hand, going like, oh my God, this is very interesting. You know, like just seeing the journeys, seeing Kamala on script saying, "Hi, oh my God, it's Wolverine," and me going, "Oh my God, she's meeting Wolverine. What's happening?" You know, it's you can't you think you dream about it. You don't expect to live it, you know. And then like having your voice heard. I think that is something that I was, you know, you have these experienced people, you have these amazing people, these very accomplished women and men, and then you have me, not very accomplished at the time, and then saying, hey guys, I don't think we should do this. I think we should do this, and then going, oh, she's right. We should do that. And I'm like, oh, I'm adding value to this. It's very validating as a, you know, like, I became very egotistical in those 3 to 4 months. Like, Mom, do you know who I am? Kind of thing. It was very funny. It was like a power trip. It was, I was like 19 or 20, but yeah, I was like around that age. I was like going through like a massive ego trip. Like, do you know who I am, Mom? Dad, please. Baba, please. But yeah, definitely unforgettable stuff, really.
All right, but talk us through it a little bit more. Like, what was your exact involvement in the project?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
if you were given any free reign through this, in you know, creating Kamala.
so when I came on, they already had some initial sketches. They had like an initial, we call it an elevator pitch. So it was like a few slides documenting, okay, what is she about? How does she get her powers? What is her journey? What is her hero's journey? I came in and they were like, you know, she's not Pakistani. She's just our perspective of what a Pakistani should be. So how can you just like, you know, come on board and just put life into her, you know, make her amazing, or not even amazing, make her human. Amazing is the wrong word, humanize her. So, you know, adding in the part where she likes fan fiction, adding in her family dynamics, kind of, you know, bringing that little spice in there where her parents, you know, it's very similar to my story as well, where, you know, the parents are like, oh, we don't know what you're doing, but we support it. Fan fiction, we don't know what that is, but good on you, you're having fun, it's great. You go fan fiction, stuff like that. You know, it's her being, how she would react to certain things. That's where my input was valued, where they'd go like, okay, you know, this is a scene in a mosque, how does this sound? This is something we're trying to do, what do you think? Will this work or not? So just fleshing out her personality, fleshing out her reactions to things, that's where I was most needed. A lot of like just refining her dialogues, the way she speaks, stuff like that.
Any memorable moments during the whole experience working on Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel?
Oh yes. I got made fun of this when I told everybody. I remember बहुत hate मिला था मुझे. Meeting Stan Lee, man, I was like the biggest, coolest moment in my life.
Wow.
I was like, that's it, I can die happy now, you know. It was a while after Kamala had launched. She, you know, we didn't think she was going to be successful. We thought it was going to be a one and done deal. People were going to, you know, massively hate the thing. They were not going to be happy about it because of the timing and all of that stuff. So, you know, we weren't expecting her to be successful. And then when she became successful, you know, it was amazing. And, you know, I remember one day we were having this celebration party on Skype, and it was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for me, because they were in LA, I believe. So it was like a 12-hour difference. So it was 2 p.m. for them, it was 2 a.m. for me. I'm in my jammies and I'm just like partying with them, and, you know, like having a, you know, very emotionally fun time with them, and like, oh hey, hi, you know, we want to introduce you to somebody. You know, they come in to, you know, to meet the team, and we want them to meet you. Like, okay, cool. Who's it gonna be? Oh, it's gonna be someone like, you know, one of the artists who I haven't met, or it might be Matt. Oh, Matt might want to meet me. And all of a sudden I just hear, Khaya. I'm like, what? I've heard this voice before on screen. What? And it's just you see this man on screen who uh, on your laptop. And I remember my laptop at the time was it was a broken Sony, just the hinges were not working. So I had it propped up by like a book basically. And my phone was like this really bad Nokia N95, I believe, was one of those keyboard phones. It didn't like have a proper camera. And I'm just like sitting there like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm just like frozen. So this is me. This is just me for like 5 minutes. And him just talking to me like, this, and he just came up and he's like, no, also this is our Kamala. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And he just goes like, no, you're amazing. And he said, keep doing what you do, kid. He's like, you're very quiet. And I'm like, and I just asked him, like, can you just say one thing for me? And he said, yeah, what do you want me to say? Just say Excelsior. And he said it, and I just cried. I was sitting there in my Family Guy pajamas, just crying, going like, Stanley. And you get to see everybody in the back just laughing, just dying of happiness. She's living her dream right now. So that is definitely the highlight of that chapter in my life. And of course, people don't believe me. I remember when he passed away, I wrote an obituary for it, and my experience meeting him. Mango Bars published the article, and the hate I got. Oh yes, she met Stanley. Well, I met Stephen Hawking on his deathbed. Like stuff like that. Like nobody took me seriously. I had like a lot of hate messages, a lot of death threats came through. I was like, why? Why can't we have nice things, guys?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
If
the
anyone
toxicness, comes with it's a part and package of the deal,
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's just who we are as people. I have no I have no complaints there. I can't go up to everybody and go like, stop doing it. That's not gonna happen.
But one thing, all right, one more question. Like, would you want to revisit this project somewhere down the line, or wink, wink, you are already on it, and we have a big scoop?
I would love to, honestly speaking, I would love to come back and consult on it, maybe even write a chapter. I've always had like this, it's like a mom. You've helped give birth, and you've watched this thing, this baby grow, and now she's off in the world, and other people are now taking her under their wing, and you're like, oh, my baby, that's my child. And obviously, I do feel some sort of like a strong attachment to her, and there's a lot of things that I would want to do. Like I would love to do a Kamala Miles team up. That is my dream. Like it has already been done, but I want to like do more. I would love like a Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, this like team multi-chapter, like multi-issue series. It's like my dream to write. If you guys are watching, please. But yeah,
definitely. If you're watching Marvel, get her back on the project.
Yeah, I've been speaking to some people at Insomniac who did the Miles game, and I talked to one, the writer. Her name is Mary, and I'm like, Mary, come on, let's do it. Let's do a Miles Kamala video game. She's like, yes, let's do it. Like, everyone's just like itching for that dream team to happen. I ship them, so I'm not.
Miles and Kamala, that's a project. But what are your thoughts on the upcoming Iman Vellani project, the Miss Marvel one?
That's a good question. I love Iman. I think she's such an adorable human being. I can't wait to see her. It's again, I can't comment much on it because everybody has their own vision of what that character should be like. So of course it'll differ from how we wrote her. So it's just like you kind of have to like put your heart like this and go like, no, it's okay, let them do what they want to do with it. So it's mixed feelings. It's it's a bit of apprehension. It's been like, okay, I would like to see where this goes. I'm very happy it's gone where it's going, but like I want to see where it goes kind of thing. I'm very happy that they're making an effort to hire diverse people. I love that they've put Sharmeen on the project because I worked briefly with Sharmeen and she's very, very nice and she's very like laser-eyed when it comes to working and producing something, and she always focuses a lot on quality. And that I'm very happy that they've hired someone Pakistani, honestly speaking. And then the fact that the writers are predominantly brown and Pakistani, it makes me very, very happy. It gives me a bit of relief that the reason we wanted Kamala on the big screen, or just as a character, was because we wanted to give brown people a voice, and it would just feel unfair to her, to her character if someone white was doing it or someone non-Pakistani was doing it. It would have just been like, better if you don't do it. But they've hired people from Pakistan. One of the actors from Trail is involved, which is very, very cool. I'm like, yes, this is exactly what we want. We want Pakistanis represented as Pakistanis. It's not that hard. Diversity is not that hard. People are here, they're waiting, they want to do this. So I'm very happy that they're approaching people from Pakistan for this.
So now we are going to turn towards your second biggest achievement. That was Burka Avenger, and coming towards the local side, but still again one of a great cartoon, a great project. And we would like to ask, like, how much, again, what was your inspiration behind it, and what the journey through this project?
Right. So I know a lot of people consider Miss Marvel to be like the pinnacle of who hires, or they associate me with Miss Marvel. Honestly speaking, Burka Avenger is like, if I had to pick a favorite project, it will always be Burka Avenger, because it was made in Pakistan for Pakistan. It was just it's that that cultural heritage or that identity, just like Pakistan patriotism. It's there. I love Burka Avenger. I love Gia. I love writing for her, man. I love writing her. I came on a bit later into the project. Season 1 was wrapping up, I believe. Yes. And again, it all comes back to Numericals. Some of the team from Numericals was working on Burka Avenger. Ahmed, who I had worked with at Numericals, he was doing the sound and the music for Burka. And he said, we need a writer, Khaya. We need someone to come in full time. And would you be interested? Yes, of course. Trick question. And then he scheduled an interview with Harun, and again, I had a very starstruck moment. It was just like, wait a minute, I listened to you growing up. Mr. Fortier. It was one of my favorite songs. I loved that song growing up, and Harun always had. Yeah, Awaz is amazing. And it's Harun and myself, Mehbooba is like such a good song. It's such a good pop. So, meeting him in person for the first time, it was very like, celebrity. And he's such a nice, humble human being. My God, he is not, like, he has no ego. He has none of that pomp surrounding him. And it made, like, I can't tell you how fun it was to work with him. We just spent like hours and hours in his room, just brainstorming ideas. There were times when I like 10 baje office mein hoti thi. And he'd be like, oh, hi, it's 10 o'clock. I should drop you home. And I'm like, Harun's dropping me home. What? And he'd be like dropping me home. And my mom would be standing out like, oh my God, Harun is dropping Khaya home. It was just like very, very, it was very interesting. It was a very interesting experience for sure. Because, again, I had a very lovely team. I was one of the writers. So we had 4 writers, five. We had 5 writers, but none of them were in-house. So I was the only in-house writer. We had Comics by Arsalan, who was one of the writers. He used to come in every other week to just like talk about the script that he was doing and stuff. Then we had Emmer Naqvi, Karachi Katmal, very, very popular Twitter personality. Then we had Shahzad Ghayas, who I met for the first time on the Burka Avenger project, and we are like now the bestest of friends. I love that guy. Very, very cool comedian. And then we had, I believe that's it. Yeah, it was just this. And then there was me. So what happened with this project was that, and where my involvement was that, I would take scripts from various, the writers that would come in. I would take their scripts, I would refine their script, but then I would also write my own scripts. So each writer was assigned, out of the 13 episodes, each writer was assigned like a chunk of the episodes, like 3 episodes would go to me, 4 episodes go to somebody else, etc., etc. That's how it would go. And then you'd pitch an episode like, hey guys, this is my idea. This is what I want in my episode. So I'll give an example. One of my favorite episodes, which was Bubblegum Gun. So you always started the pitching process to Haroon through the moral. Like, this is what the moral of the thing is. This is what the episode is going to focus on. And this is how it's going to focus on it. My mom's a Pathan and we have family in Peshawar. I had cousins who were involved in the APS attack, who barely managed to escape. And it was a very traumatic experience for the family. It was a traumatic experience for the country overall. We were still healing from it. And it was tragic. And I wanted to kind of take that tragedy and have something come out of that tragedy. So I took the story that my cousin had told the family of what had happened during the attack. So he told us that, the teachers were hiding. Some of them were like at the back, escorting kids out and standing by the wall and, trapezing them off. But some of the kids who were trapped in the classroom, they were being held hostage. He's like, one of my classmates who were being held hostage, and one of the classmates just threw a chair at them, at the gunmen, and said, run. And we ran. And it was just like, that the bravery that they showed. I wanted to honor that bravery, and I wanted to, show, people take kids very, very lightly. They don't take them seriously. They're like the bache hain. But kids are, they are capable of so much. Like, I wanted to highlight that. And that's why I told Haroon, like, I want to highlight that, kids can save the day too. They are just as brave. They are just as committed. They are, they have hearts of steel and gold. And that was the episode of Burka Avenger. That's what it focused on, that, for the first time in the episode, like in the whole season run, Burka Avenger gets captured, and it's the kids that save the day. It's the kids that come together and like, we're going to save you, Burka Avenger. And then they, like the group, Imu, Muli, Ashu, and Golu, the goat, they get together and they save Burka Avenger. It was like the coolest thing ever, man, seeing that. So that was my pitch. And Haroon is like, this is great. We need to like add some, some fun elements as well. So I'm like, okay, let's do a bubblegum gun. Let's have the bubblegum gun stick to Jia. She can't move. Baba Bandhu is throwing gum everywhere. And then the kids have the idea of, let's use the gum against him. It was a very fun episode. But my favorite part in that whole episode was, I was like, Baba Bandhu had this henchman. His name was Tinda. He was this like small, very annoying gremlin creature with the Pathan topi. He was my favorite. I love that guy. And like he has to infiltrate school to become one with the kids and kind of infiltrate their gang so he can steal the flashlight. And he's gonna do that by cross-dressing as a girl and call himself Tindi from Pindi. And Haroon just loved the idea. He loved the idea because Tinda was always like, he was very flamboyant, and we always loved the idea of him playing with the idea of someone who's very comfortable as of embracing other gender identities. So he kind of put that in a very like nuanced way, and it worked. People loved Tindi from Pindi. And it was, these are just some of the ways in which I like helped out, and just taking other people's scripts, editing them down, then working with the voice actors, of course, making sure that what we had written as writers was being portrayed correctly. The volume, the pitch, all of that stuff is being done well. The scene is being conveyed the way it needs to be. Sitting with the animators, making sure that the tone, the framing of the scene, the storyboarding, the animatics, all of that stuff is just on point. So like, I was essentially the bridge between all the different teams. So I would like coordinate with the art department, I've coordinated with the sound department, the post-production department, with Haroon, of course. So it was just like me just essentially running around the office going, guys, this is good. Okay, great. I'm not ashamed to say we worked weekends because it was a very unrealistic project in terms of deliverables. We delivered 4 seasons in less than 2 years. It's just insane. We're working weekends, and I remember at my birthday I was working in UB, and my friends were calling. They're like, "Hi, come on, let's hang out." I'm like, "No, I'm working." It was just, I loved doing it. I loved going to work. I loved just sitting with the artists. I loved, sitting with Ahmed and listening to the music that he would be coming up with, the themes that he and Harun would be doing. Because, again, Harun being the musician, he'd want to like be part of the soundtrack, and he'd like do these awesome bops for Burka Avenger. And it was just so much fun being a part of that and just like watching all of that come to life and just being a part of that process.
Should we be expecting to see it return anytime in the future, Burka Avenger?
I believe so. I
And
can't say
sorry to
much.
cut you off. Sorry to
Yes.
cut you off, but one
Yes.
thing that I would like to add, that more than TSF, this question is coming from my nieces as well, because they used to watch it and they really, they forced me to buy the Burka Avenger figures and Baba Bandhu figures. So from
Yeah.
I
Vardhan,
love the fact that we have action figures of them and we
Yeah.
have t-shirts. Do you know I still have the hoodie, the one I wore to a TwinCon for the first
Yeah.
time?
The unicorn black.
I have the hoodie and I still wear it in the gym, and I walk around in my Burka Avenger hoodie and people give me stares like, why is she doing that? I'm just like, bro, merch. Merch.
And my boss
yeah,
even had the Baba Banduk figurine in her office.
I love this. The figurine is one of my favorites. I love the way they've done like his beard and stuff. It's so cool. I have my Burka Avenger figure. She's right next to the Kamala action figure that I have. In my babies.
So
But yeah,
it's coming.
definitely.
It's coming back.
I can't say a lot, but yeah, you should definitely expect something from the team. They are working very, very hard. So yes.
Well, we'll be excited to get into it when it comes out.
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
To your most recent accomplishment, Destruction All Stars, a PS5 game. So, what was the extent of your involvement in this project, and any secrets you can tell us about it? Any insider?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I was again my mentor. She's a writer. She was a writer for Telltale Games. Emily Grace Buck. She's now working at Ubisoft. She basically contacted me. She said, "There's this gig. It's a really cool project. They're focused on diversity and they really want to have a diverse team to reflect that. So how about I'm scheduling an interview with them. How about you talk to them?" So after like various NDAs and all that stuff, I had a meeting with them, and I loved the idea that they were pitching to me. I had no idea it was a PS5 exclusive. I had no idea it was a AAA game. I did not know anything. I just saw the characters, they showed me the cars, they showed me the concept, and I was like, I'm in. I am in. I saw Twinkle's car. I saw Twinkle's stuff, and I'm like, I'm in. You don't need to say anything further. I'm in. Give me this character. And yeah, it was just it was very, very cool, honestly. I mean, I say this for all my projects, but they are. That's just, they are all so cool. Like, I was working with a team of about 4 writers. So it was myself, Emily, Giles. Then later on, there came Michelle, Matt, and now Kim as well. So it was cool because, Emily had essentially laid the groundwork for us, and then she had to exit the project. So the groundwork was essentially some of the characters, their designs had been made, their personalities a bit were there. So we had like meetings to like kind of flesh out their characters and stuff. And the first thing that I asked was like, guys, can we put someone from Pakistan in here? And they're like, we thought you'd never ask. And like, well, we were thinking around with this, this model. He's a helicopter pilot, and we're thinking his name is going to be Sergeant Rescue, and we really love that name. And what do you think? And they show up with this model of this guy who looked like very, he looked like he belonged from like Chitral. He had this very like northern look about him, and I'm like, he's gonna be a Pathan. Let's do it. I pitched it, and like, how about we make him from Peshawar, with Chitrali heritage, from up north. That will resonate with his helicopter story as well. And after he retired, he moved to Canada, etc. I gave him a whole backstory. They're like, yes, let's do this. And yeah, that's it. So that was my involvement with Lucid. It was basically, I was assigned of some characters, some rough concepts of those characters, their like sketches and their car sketches. So each character had a corresponding car that matched their personality. And I had to give them, a start to finish backstory, personalities, assign them, based on their looks, build upon that, see which region they could represent, and if represented well. After that, then we sat down and wrote about like 5,000 barks per character, and barks are like actual barks, but like lines, one-liners. Those are called character barks. So those per character, sitting down and just writing those, and then fleshing out the world that this thing is being, this arena or this game is taking place in. Why is it the way it is? What's happening? Giving everybody back, like the game backstories, the lore, building up the lore. Then sifting through casting sessions or auditions that people have sent over, finding the best voice to suit the character, that suits the character and is actually representative of that character. Then sitting with the actors, having them record lines, listen to the recording lines, and working on the cinematics. Because Destruction All Stars is not just a multiplayer game. It also has a single series mode where it's very much like Tekken, where you have your rival, and then you have those cutscenes, and then you have the challenges in between the cutscenes and stuff like that. So building those up as well. Coming up with skins for the characters, coming up with emotes, like, oh, if this person emotes, how would they emote? What color skins would. That's coordinating with all the the artists and animators, because oh my god, there were so many people on this project. It's insane. So yeah, that was basically my job. And one of the coolest things that I will always give credit to Lucid for is the fact that Sergeant Rescue is a Pakistani, he's a Pathan, he has Pashto lines, which is so friggin' cool. He actually says Raza Chizu, he actually says Wai Shabash, it is the most coolest thing I've ever heard. And he's voiced by a Pakistani. He's voiced by a Pakistani Canadian. He's voiced by, oh, Kamal did such a good job. Kamal was so good. He did such a great job. And he was equally enjoying himself in the booth, because he's saying stuff like Eid Mubarak. He's saying stuff like, oh, I'm going to break my fast now. Stuff like this, stuff that is actually Pakistani Muslim. And he was enjoying it. He's like, I've never had to say stuff like this before. I'm like, so they actually took like Twinkle Riot, the most popular character in Destruction All Stars right now. She's from Dubai. She's a Habibti. She's a Muslim. She's from Dubai. She's Emirati, and she's voiced by an Emirati, like she's voiced by an Arab. That is the cool part. Like Blue Fang voiced by a Nigerian because he's Nigerian. Muna voiced by a Somalian because she's Somalian. And again, everybody has people from their region representing them through their voice. And that's why they just sound so damn authentic, and it's so great. And some of the voice actors who I got to work with were people who I really, really looked up to. I mean, the announcer was Bruce Buffer, the guy who says, let's get ready to rumble, the guy from UFC, having to talk to him, go like, oh, can you say this line? I wrote this line. Can you say this? Oh, but can you say it like this, maybe? Just directing him, help direct him. It was insane. We had a voice director, Kirsty, who was amazing. I love her. So it was me, Kirsty, and Amy, our producer. We were like the voice acting gang who would sit with the voice actors and direct them through Skype or through the other softwares. And it was insane. You have Bruce Buffer, you have the girl who voices Kamala Khan voicing another character that I helped create. It's like, what? It was very cool. It was a very cool experience for sure. And it was very real. These characters are very real, and that's something that I will be I'm very indebted to Lucid for. They never said, no, Khaya, this is going too far. They're like, no, go far, go do this, make them say Pashto words, make them say words in Arabic, let them do it, let them say Hayallah, do it. I have not played it yet. I don't have a PS5. So on launch day, it was so sad. On launch day at night, I was on Twitch on my phone in the bed with the cover on, just going like, oh my god, they're playing my game. Oh my god, that's my line. Oh my god, that's my line. And my husband just next to me like, go to sleep. Go to sleep. We have office in the morning, and just going like,
No.
2 a.m. Like, I want that. So yeah, one interesting fact about Twinkle Riot, now that we're talking about her. So I loosely based her off of you.
Oh my god.
I gave her, so when I was thinking of people who inspired me. Like we had mood boards. You were on the mood board. I
Oh.
put you on the mood board. I was like this
Oh.
girl, like the K-pop aspect and the cosplay aspect. Because she's a cosplayer. That's who
Yeah.
Twinkle Red is. She's a
Yeah.
very hyperactive cosplayer who loves K-pop. I'm like, wait, I know somebody like that. And I remembered our days back in Beacon House where we would talk about
Yeah.
DBSK and all that stuff. I'm like, I'm putting
Yeah.
that in there. I'm putting that in there.
Wow, I feel honored. Wow,
Yeah,
thank
like
you.
a lot of like there's all my characters have
Yeah.
always had things that I've taken from real life, from people I've met. Like there are lines that Asad has said to me that I have put in like TV shows or like in mediums, stuff that my husband does. I've put it in there. Lines that my friends have said are like now in Destruction All Stars. So this is something that it makes them real when they're based off people who actually exist. It makes them feel real.
And so basically, TSF is canon and Destruction All Stars.
Yes.
The game is out now. People are playing it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that previously when stuff you work on, it launches, you just disappear from social media. But how are you reacting to the divided views? Some people love it. Some people don't love it as much. What's your reaction to that?
Okay, so I am slightly. The thing is, gaming as a fandom or the gaming community, especially the PlayStation community, they're very, very toxic. They are very toxic. It's why I don't play the PlayStation as much. Sorry, guys. I gravitate more towards Xbox because Xbox has always been, the community has been more welcoming to me as a gamer, and just the way they treat their players is just, it's nicer. The community that's been building in PlayStation, it's one of, they think they're above everybody else, and they expect their games to perform on that bar as well. Like if it's not on a certain level, it's automatically crucified. See what happened to Last of Us 2. It is a brilliant game. I'm sorry, but it is a really nice game. But people just crucified the creators. They crucified the voice actors. They're sending death threats, like it's nobody's business. If something like Last of Us 2 got reviewed bombed, I did not expect Destruction All Stars to, be the next God of War. I'm sure God of War 2 is going to get just as much hate from people. But all these years of receiving hate or receiving products that I've worked on receiving hate, I'm focusing a bit more on the positives, which is that these characters are resonating with people that have never felt this way before. Like this one person messaged the team, he's a Black man, and he recorded his daughter playing the game. She's a young girl, and there's this character there, her name is Harmony. She's everybody calls her the thick girl. She is, and I love her for it. So they're like, the girl, his daughter's playing, and she's like, oh my god, that looks like mom. And she starts like getting emotional and saying, that's mom. And the dad's like, yeah, that's what she looks like. Mom's like, he walks like mom. And he messaged, like, my daughter's never said that about any other character. She's never said that about anything she's watched, where she's pointing to like, that looks like someone I know. This is the first time this has happened. And thank you for creating a character that is so true to who we are, and who represents us. And that is what matters to me. That is what I'm taking from this project. That I have people in my newsfeed who are saying stuff like, oh, we love Twinkle. When Twinkle says hi Allah, we're like, oh my god, what, we say that? Or when Sergeant Rescue says yaar, it's like, oh wait, every Pakistani says yaar. It's and then one of our other characters, Shift, he speaks only in ASL, and you have people who speak through ASL commenting and going, this is the first time we've seen this in a video game, in a racing video game, in such a high-profile game. You have people from Nigeria going like, wait, what? We're being represented nicely for once? What? That is what I'm taking away from this. I don't care what people are saying about the gameplay. I don't care what people are saying about the the graphics or whatnot. I care what people are saying or how these characters are resonating with them. I'm looking at the fan art. I'm looking at people like, oh my god, I love Lupita because she reminds me of me as a kid. Stuff like that. That is what resonates with me. That is what I'm taking away from this. because everyone's going to be super critical of a Sony game. Everyone's going to be critical. They're going to take that game apart, and they are. But I'm okay with that because, at the end of the day, I have been this side of the coin where people are like, this is the best thing that has ever happened to us. So I'll take that over, I'll take that over janky gameplay anyway.
You can't make everyone happy. It's a given fact.
No. Especially in the gaming community. In comics, there's still a bit more restraint. But in video games, there is no restraint. You just have to prepare yourself for the worst. And it's okay. I'm okay with that. That's just that's the downside of working in an amazing industry. I'm okay with that. Those people just are not happy with their own lives, honestly speaking.
Now, speaking of this industry, since you just touched upon it, what advice would you give to women or youngsters who are eager to come into this field? Like, as you've already been here quite a few years now, what's your advice?
My 10-year long advice would be grow a very, very thick skin. Everyone is gonna, they're gonna have something to say about you. They're gonna have something to say to you. They're gonna critique you if you're at your worst. They're gonna critique you if you're at your best. They're always gonna say something to you. It's bad enough when you're your own worst critic, but don't let anybody be a critic for you. Don't let them get to you. Listen to it from one ear, take it out the other, because at the end of the day, you're doing what you love. Everybody else can go to hell, honestly speaking. That's the thing about this industry. Only people who are truly, truly passionate about it come into it, because it's not easy. It's not an easy journey. It's not a one and done thing. It's not an overnight thing. You have to really, really work hard to get where you are. And there's no blueprint. Everybody comes in differently. There is no set path. You do this graduation job, internship job. That's not how it goes. It's not like becoming a doctor. It's not like becoming an engineer. It's not. It's a very weird road. And once you get in, and you're working in it and you're relishing in it, stick with the highs. Stick with the happy days. Don't focus on the bad days. Let the bad days flow through you. Focus on the good days, because those good days are what make your job great, and they make you they make you feel happy. They make you feel like you've accomplished something. So stick with those days and keep reminding yourself of those good days, especially when you're in the bad days. So that's my advice to people. And seek a mentor. Yes, I say that everywhere. Please, mentors are your friends in this industry. Please. But be nice to your mentors. Please don't expect them to be on their hands and knees for you. Please will be insan. But yeah, respect your mentors and get a mentor. Definitely.
Right. And one more advice that we need from you is to the women. You're an independent, mashallah, and you've worked independently for so long. So some advice for them as well.
It's hard. It's a hard journey. It's a very hard journey. You are not going to be taken seriously. You could have an Emmy, you could have an Eisner, you could have a Peabody, but ain't nobody gonna take you seriously, especially a man in power. He's always gonna look his nose down at you. You can swallow it, yes. You can swallow it for a while. I swallowed a lot of things for a while. I swallowed people looking down at me, men looking down at me, men exercising their power over me. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of put your foot down and be like, no. This is not happening. You do not define who I am. Your words do not define who I am. Your words do not define my worth. If you say that I am not good enough, then screw you. You do not define me. That is why I say to every woman, let your work speak for you, because your words are going to be silenced by men anyway, but your work is going to shine through at the end. I can talk as much as I want. People are not going to listen to me. But at the end of the day, they look at Miss Marvel, they look at Burka Avenger, they look at Destruction All Stars and go like, oh, okay, she's done something. So let your work speak through you. Make your voice heard through your work. And it's going to make a difference. It is always going to make a difference. Do not back down. Do not tell anybody that you are less than who you are, because you are not. You are amazing. You are wonderful. You are strong. If you are a housewife, it doesn't matter. I consider a housewife a full-time job. That's one of the most hardest jobs in the damn world. Teacher, housewife, mother, whatever you are strong, you are wonderful, you are validated, and you are valid as a human being. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Yes.
One last question. What games, comics, movies, or TV series are you looking forward to in this year?
That's a very loaded question because I have been out of this for a while now. So the immediate thing that comes to mind is I'm really looking forward to the new Resident Evil game. Really looking forward. I love the memes that are circulating so far. The tall lady memes. I'm living for. I am actually really looking forward to that game. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play it because it looks really scary, and I'm very easily scared.
I'm gonna bow
Oh
out
my god,
because
no, wait. Yes, besides Resident Evil, my freaking Babe is out this year. Halo Infinite is coming out this year, and I am so excited. Give me Halo Infinite. I am ready for Halo Infinite. Yes, that is the game I am most looking forward to. In terms of movies, I'm really looking forward to the Snyder Cut, man. I'm looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I'm ready for the Snyder Cut.
yes.
Give me
Trailer,
that Jesus.
trailer in one day.
Yes.
Okay.
On my birthday, man. Zack Snyder not coming in. So he gonna be like, yes,
Yes.
birthday gift for Khaya.
Exactly.
Really looking forward to that.
Hmm.
I'm really looking forward to the Hawkeye series. Really looking forward to that because I'm a huge Hawkeye fan. It is something I've been waiting for a long time. My baby boy has always been sidelined in the mainstream media. So, I'm very happy that he's finally getting his own TV show. And it's based off Matt's Run, which is one of my favorite comic books ever. So very much looking forward to that. When I saw Pizza Dog, I'm like, yes, they're doing it right. They're doing it right. Right, Pizza Dog. And besides that, what else? I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else that I'm like majorly looking forward to this year because, of course, I feel bad for everybody in the media industry because, especially the movie and TV industry, because they've just been so hammered with COVID. That everything's just been pushed forward. Things that were supposed to come out this year are not coming out this year. So these are things that I'm legit really looking forward to. I don't know if Black Widow's coming out this year, but if it is, I'm looking forward to that too. Mando isn't coming out this year, but if Mando was coming out this year, I would have really been. That's been one of the highlight of my year, last year for me.
Baby Grogu.
All right, so
fun fact, by the way.
Yes.
The season finale of Mando came out on my wedding day.
Oh yeah.
So it was pretty awesome. Me and my husband got ruxateed, got to the hotel room. First thing we did, popped open Mandalorian and cried as we watched Luke Skywalker on screen.
Ah, yes. That was a breathtaking.
That was
epic.
I've always been a Filoni fan. I've always been a Favreau fan, and Filoni bhai just came through.
They delivered.
Always. That team, man, that team. Got me from Avatar all the way through here, man. Clone Wars, Avatar.
Now, Khaya, coming to the end of our special guest segment, fan questions. So take it away, Sohaib.
Yeah, so we posted on Facebook. We got some questions on our Facebook and our Insta, and one by one we asked. So first question is from Fabeha, and it's like, if you were given a choice to write a story associated with one kind of mythology, which one would it be and why?
I have to. So immediately I'd go to Norse mythology because I love Norse mythology. I've always grown up in Norse mythology. It's something that I love. Secondly, I would do Pathan mythology and like old school Pathan legends set up in the north, and I would love to touch upon those. They're very rich. So locally, Pathan culture and mythology, and the history of the Persians, all that stuff, and globally Norse mythology. Easy.
Nice.
Cool.
That would be interesting because Norse, we've already gotten quite a load of it.
Oh yes, I love it. I would do it over and over again. Neil Gaiman's American Gods.
Yes, definitely.
We need a Pathan for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring forth the Pathan mythologies. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Homa Sheikh's question is, if you could choose any game studio, which one would you want to work for, and why is it not EA?
343. Easy. Don't even have to think twice about it. I have actually shamelessly plugged things on Twitter as well. Like, hey, 343, are you interested? Because I'm interested. But yeah, 343. I would love, like, my dream is to work on a Halo game. I would love to. I would butcher it. I would massacre it. Fans would hate me, but I would be so happy to work on a Halo game.
All right. The next question is from Danya, and she asks, "How do you plan out your stories and flesh them? How do you build plot points and avoid plot holes? Do you have any writing tips or tricks you can share?"
Ooh, that's a very loaded question. So a lot of things, like I have a few different methods. There's no hard and fast thing. Like I don't have like a hard and fast method, but some things I do love doing, especially with my comics, because comics are where the plot holes actually happen, because they're multi-issued first off, but and also there's like an overarching plot. There's subplots. There are a lot of threads going through comic books, more so than the other forms of media, because you know when you're working on TV shows, of course, you have other people with you and stuff. But with comics, it's a more contained team. It's just you and maybe another person, more so than you're in TV or video games. In video games, there are at least a minimum of 4 writers. So there's always someone watching your back for plot holes. But when in a small comic team, essentially what I do is I use the sticky note route, where I flesh out the major beats of the story, the beginning, the middle, of the end, put them up on the wall or anywhere on my on my notebook, and I see it play out, and then I just attach sub notes to that, like what will lead to the middle. Okay, middle to the point. What will lead to the end? Is this going well? And I just like close it, and then I step away from it for a few weeks even, and then I come back to it and read it with a fresh mind. There's so many things that happened in the middle, and I come back and read it again with a fresher perspective, because I've forgotten things. And I'm like, wait, oh, why is this happening? That doesn't make sense. Who's this guy? Then I realize, oh, okay, I've not fleshed this guy out as much. So that is something that has really helped me. It's really given me new perspectives. Because when you see it laid out in front of you visually, it really helps. A visual map is always very helpful than a written map. And also giving your ideas to somebody else who has not heard of them before. Having them ask you questions actually helps you flesh the story out even more and fleshes out the plot even more. And then just like, again, just stepping away from it for a while, then coming back to it. That is something that has always just helped me a lot in my writing.
Salia Kamran is asking, how did you create? Yes, her. How did you create the characters for Evardia, and what inspired you when creating their personalities, their whole backstory and everything?
So we had like an initial it was very like it was very crude. It was a very crude starting point.
Mhm.
They were crude essentially. It was a project that was given to us by somebody else and the team, and they said, oh, this is a project I was doing. It was a very crude imagination. It wasn't complete by any means. It was very tropey. And then I sat with the team, Shersha, Fajri, Nabil, Ali Hamza, Maruna, Sarah, Sybil, Bilal, Umair. We all sat down. Like, we didn't just involve the writers in this. We involved like the devs in this. We involved like the artists in this. And we just, we thought, like, if we wanted to see Lord of the Rings as Desi characters, how would we do that? How could we go about this? How would we make someone who's so like, not just things. I think Avatar: The Last Airbender is also a very, very good example. Like, they showed so many different Asian cultures, but not like, in a very different and imaginative way. And I wanted to like emulate that. So, we and even sorry, I completely forgot to mention Maha Poichan. She was also part of the initial character creation. She's part of the initial character creation run as well. She did such a great job with, I would just give her like rough ideas. Like, I think Corin should be like this, like, oh, Corin's the Pathan, right? So I sent her pictures of Shershav, my the writer. I'm like, this is what a Pathan, like, a true Pathan looks like. Then sending pictures of my cousins and stuff, like, play off of them. Giving her beard examples of, this is what a beard would look like. This is, some motifs basically helped her, conceptualize that. And she took all these things, like the mood boards essentially, and then she just came up with these amazing looking characters that looked so good, so good. And they went through a lot of iterations. I think Nabil was really able to capture them towards the end and make them just look so friggin' badass, my lord. I was drawing. I remember I would watch him sketch, and I was like, "Oh my god, are you actually just making a full-blown jail with like minarets?" He's like, "Yes, Khaya, I am doing this. My hand will die in the process, but I'm gonna do it." And boy delivered. And then Sarah and Maruna just took it and colored the crap out of it, and it was just very interesting because when we were creating these characters, Shersha and I and Fajri even and Sybil, we would sit down and go through. Our Google engine was shot to hell by the end of it. We had like so many sources, so many things to play through because our culture is so rich. It's not just one thing. There's just so many different facets, and then those facets have the cultures have subcultures, or subcultures have subcultures. There's not just one Pathan. There's not just one Punjabi. There's not just one Sikh. There's so many different subsets to these cultures, and we just wanted to put bits and pieces of those into these characters, and that's just what they are. They're just an amalgamation of all these cultures, and just us just going like, why don't we do this, why don't we do that, how would it look with this? And that's just how it happened.
Now to the final fan question. Our last question is from Mahanur Heather. How easy or difficult was it to coordinate with the companies like Marvel or Lucid, considering you're settled here?
It was actually pretty difficult because, again, time zones. It wasn't like they were doing it on purpose, right? It was, I would be up at a different time, they would be up on a different time, right? And they were quite considerate about it. It's not like they would be like, oh, why aren't you here? And it required me to then shift my cycle and become more active during the night because Lucid is based in England, so that's their 5 hours, or in some cases 4 hours behind us. So that would require me to work late nights. So in some cases I'd be up till 4 a.m. because I'd have to do recordings with them. So while writing itself, I didn't have to coordinate so much with them, but during the meeting sessions or the edit sessions or the voice acting sessions, that's when it was really, really hard because when I was working with Marvel, I was at home 24/7. I was not in uni because I dropped out. So no uni, no commitments of any sort. It was just Marvel, right? So I could sleep during the day, wake up at night and work on their time because I was living with my parents. That was not an issue. With Lucid, it was a bit different. Even though I was still at home, I was, I had another job at the time. I was working 9 to 5. Then after 9 to 5, I would then go home and then work this Lucid job till like 6 a.m. at night. So it was very difficult, and it was very mentally taxing. And when you're working with companies abroad, they're very nice. They're very now, especially with all these the stories that have come out, the push for mental health, the push for non-crunch time has become very, very important. But then at some point you just have to realize that there's nothing you can do. It's out of your control. The deadline is there. You have to meet that deadline, and that will require you to work weird hours. Even if your producer is telling you, "Hi, or apologizing to you," or just sending you virtual hugs. It's like it's something that has to be done, and it does have an effect on you. You do suffer the consequences of those long hours and stuff, and it is very difficult when you're working with people abroad. Sometimes when you're working face to face, there's that you feed off of each other's energies, right? You can get up and go and sit with them, but hey, what's up? But when you're working with people abroad, you're all removed from the situation. So it's at some point you're like, are there there's that doubt that creeps in during the long hours, like, hey, I wonder what they're doing, and even though they're so nice and they're so sweet, it's just you crave that physical connection, which chat cannot solve, which no matter how many meetings you have, it cannot solve because they're not there in front of you. And that's like I was gonna go to England and visit. We were gonna have the launch party, and it was gonna be amazing and stuff. But obviously, because of COVID, that didn't happen. I feel removed when you see the social media posts and you see that the teams are doing this, and you're like, oh, I wish I was there to do that with them. So it is a bit like it does bring you down just a bit.
One day soon you'll be there.
Very and soon. ESF really feels for you because we also all of us have to communicate virtually.
Exactly.
So
exactly. I miss hanging out with people. I really do. I miss hanging out with my friends.
Khaya, thank you so much for giving us your time today. And I'm going to note the time. It is 11:30 on 13th of February that we are recording this. So on behalf
D
of
minus
the
20 to my birthday.
exactly, that's what I'm coming to. So on behalf of TSF, we would like to wish you an early happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you so much.
birthday.
Happy
Hey,
birthday to you.
I'm
No,
not
but
going
Very
to
seriously.
sing
honestly, I
because
would never
you
have,
will be
preferred to spend my birthday any other way than with you guys.
We feel honored.
Okay, that means a lot. That means a lot. And to close, just something for TSF from you.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, I can't put into words how much it means to me that you guys are doing this. You guys inspire me. I am so happy that you guys are doing this. It takes massive guts to do what you're doing. I will support you every step of the way. You guys are amazing. You're so passionate, and I'm so proud that Pakistan is doing this, that you guys are doing this. It takes a massive amount of courage to do what you're doing. Not listen to what anybody says. Y'all are amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Yeah.
Always.